Hello everybody and welcome back. So I'm very often asked how I get this very painterly effect on my camera movements. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips today. And the first one with this image is there is a texture added. Texture is really great fun to play with. I will be talking more about it as we go forward. I have got some bought textures, but just to give you a taster now, many of the textures that I use are things that I find around me in the scene. So things like concrete, tarmac, cracked paving slabs, chipping paint, peeling metal, that kind of thing. But we will come back and talk about this more another day. So let's just talk about how I get this painterly effect in camera first. So the first thing that I do most of the time now is get in really tight to my subject. So if you look at the three images I'm showing you on the right hand side compared to the one on the left, I'm filling the frame, I'm in tight rather than a big landscape with the tree in the middle of it. So the next thing you're probably going to want to know is my focal length. Now, a couple of years ago, I got really hooked on using the 55 to 200 mil. And one of the things I've really noticed with camera movement is that you get really into a groove with one lens. You get that hand, body, mind coordination going on with that focal length. And I had got really hooked on it, and it's great. There are moments when it's fantastic. So in the end, it wasn't serving my purposes, and I switched to the kit lens, which is what I'm shooting on nearly all the time now, which is my 18 to 55. That means that then I can fill the frame up, but have much more detail. So I loved the fact that I got these three little trees behind this big tree. These images are not really cropped. I very rarely crop them in Photoshop. The only time I would do that is because camera movement means that when you frame up, at the beginning, you have not got the same framing going on at the end because you've moved. So maybe a tree has appeared that you didn't particularly want, then I might crop. So mainly the image that you see is what I got in camera. And so you're also going to be affected by compression effects. So if you're using a longer focal length, I noticed when I did that the effect of that compression meant that I would sometimes get a more painterly effect, but it would also flatten it. And in flattening it, I lost texture that I really wanted. So that's also worth thinking about. And so another benefit, of course, is when you're in tight, you then are generally finding it a lot easier to lose the sky, which is also distracting. And we talked about last week. This is another way of getting rid of the sky, getting really tight to your subject. Really important is slow and steady. So one of the reasons my images look very painterly is because I give my camera's sensor loads of time to pick up information and pull it across the scene. If you are in motion, you click and you're going very quickly, you're going to end up pulling colour and light much faster. So then there's less detail. So if you want more detail, slow and steady wins the race. And of course, you need to give yourself a longer shutter speed to do that. So I don't work off what was the shutter speed used to create that and then try and match it. I match the shutter speed to what I and the camera need to create this image. So don't think, oh, Amanda used 1 second, so that's going to magically get me that image. It's much more useful to you to think, I want to move very slowly, so I'm going to need loads of time to do that. And if you think of it around that way, then I think it's much easier to get what you want rather than trying to force yourself into moving to match the shutter speed. The shutter speed should be serving you. So slow and steady, very soft in the body, lovely flowing movements. We will be coming back to talking about this as well in the next few weeks. And don't forget that everything in the frame moves with you. Just being aware of that. It's not just the boat and the person you're going to be affecting, but everything else as well. So next time, these two images are exactly the same day, one after the other, in the camera, double exposures. Why does one of them look so different to the other? Why has the one on the right got such sharp, hard lines and the one on the left not so much? And they were on exactly the same settings, exactly the same shutter speed, but they obviously look one of them much softer than the other. Next week, I will share with you how I do that, and again, why it's not the shutter speed, but the technique and awareness of movement that makes so much difference. And this is so brilliant because when you know this kind of thing, you are then able to take charge of your creativity. It's no longer guesswork, it's no longer hoping and taking hundreds of images, hoping that one will come out right. This is why I love exploring this stuff. I will see you next week. Have fun, have a great week, and I will see you then. Bye, everyone.